Hey everyone, welcome to your Learn Lab. My name is Seema, and if you are an IGNOU student, you are at the right place. Here we create videos on different IGNOU courses to help you ace your exams. So hit that subscribe button and join me on this learning journey. In today's video, we are going to cover Abhijñānaśākuntalam, a classical Sanskrit play written by the ancient Indian playwright Kālidāsa. He is one of the greatest poets and dramatists in Sanskrit literature. It is often considered his masterpiece and one of the finest works in classical Indian drama. We will journey through all the 7 acts, experiencing love, loss, and divine destiny through Kālidasa's poetic brilliance. The Abhijñānaśākuntalam is also called the recognition of Shakuntala. Before we dive into the story, let's first take a look at the characters of this play. The main characters are King Dushyanta. He is a monarch of Luna dynasty ruling at Hastinapur. He falls in love with Shakuntala during a hunting trip and later becomes a victim of a curse that erases her from his memory. Then we have Shakuntala, the beautiful and pure-hearted daughter of sage Vishwamitra and celestial nymph Menaka, adopted and raised by sage Kanva in a forest hermitage. Then we have Bharata, the brave and intelligent son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. He later becomes the legendary emperor after whom India is named, Bharatavarsha. Next, we have the hermitage characters. First, we have sage Kanva, Shakuntala's adopted father, a wise and compassionate hermit who raises her with love and care. Then we have Anasuya, a close friend of Shakuntala in the hermitage, loyal and supportive. Next, we have Priyamvada, another of Shakuntala's friends who helps her in her romantic union with Dushyanta. Followed by Gautami, an elder woman in the hermitage, serving as a maternal figure and chaperone. Next, we have Shangarava, Sharadvata and Harita, disciples of Kanva who play key role in delivering Shakuntala to the royal court. Followed by celestial and supernatural figures. Sage Durvasa, a short-tempered ascetic whose curse causes the central conflict in the story. Matali, the celestial charioteer of Indra who later escorts Dushyanta to the heavens. Marichi, a great sage in the celestial realm where Shakuntala and Bharata reside for a time. Kashyapa and Aditi, father and mother of the gods. Mishra Keshi, a heavenly nymph. Apsaras, the celestial nymphs mentioned in the background. Shakuntala's mother, Menaka, is one of them. Next, we have the characters for court and comic relief. Madhavya or Vidushaka, the witty court jester and close companion of King Dushyanta, provides humor and commentary. Purohita or Somratha, the royal priest at Dushyanta's court, represents tradition and ritual. Parvatayana, chief of chamberlain. Rayavadaka, the palace doorkeeper. Bhadrasena, a general. Karabhaka, a royal servant. Chief of police Januka and Suchaka, policemen who were involved in the subplot of the ring, and Galava, a pupil in heaven. Now lastly, we have some minor but pivotal characters. One is the fisherman. Finds the royal ring lost by Shakuntala. His discovery is what leads to Dushyanta's recognition and remembrance. Then we have other royal officials and attendants, officers, guards, charioteers, and others who support the palace scenes and travel sequences. And that brings us to the end of the characters list. Let's take a look at the scene and the setting. So, the acts 1 to 4 is set in the forest at the foothills of the Himalayas, primarily in sage Kanva's hermitage. The acts 5 to 6 shift to the royal palace in Hastinapura and include scenes in the city's marketplace. The Act 7 transcends the earthly plane set in the golden mythic world presided over by the primal parents Marichi and Aditi. Now, if you look at the time frame, the Acts 1 to 6, the action unfolds over summer through autumn, and in the case of Act 7, it occurs in a mythic world beyond human time. Now that we have the basics out of the way, let me tell you a story from the classical Sanskrit stage, a story of nature, destiny, and unexpected love. This is Kālidāsa's Abhijñānaśākuntalam, the recognition of Shakuntala. It begins like many stories of kings in the wild. King Dushyanta, a noble and powerful ruler, is out hunting in the forest. He is in a swift chariot chasing a deer, beautiful, swift, leaping like a flash of gold through the trees. His bow is drawn, the arrow ready. But just as he is about to shoot, he stopped. Not by his prey, but by a voice. Hermits emerge from the forest and call out to him, "O king, spare that deer. It belongs to the peaceful hermitage of sage Kanva. It is not for the hunt." And Dushyanta, to his credit, listens. He lowers his bow. He bows to the sage and says, "You're right, a warrior's arms are meant to protect, not to harm the innocent." The hermits bless him and they tell him something curious. The great sage Kanva is away, but his daughter Shakuntala is caring for the ashram in his absence. They suggest the king visit, and so, with humility, he does. Dushyanta sets aside his ornaments and royal symbols. He removes his crown. He puts on simple clothes made of bark, a sign of reverence, because he knows this is a sacred space. As he enters the hermitage, something stirs in him. His arm begins to throb, a sign in ancient belief of something momentous. Perhaps an omen. He pauses and thinks, "Why should my heart feel like this here in this place of peace?" He moves quietly through the grove and then suddenly he hears laughter. Not loud, not disruptive, just gentle, playful, melodic. He hides behind a tree. 3 young women are walking through the ashram carrying little pots of water. They are watering the trees, talking, joking with each other, and in their midst is one girl who draws all of his attention. She's wearing a bark garment like the others, but she seems to glow. Graceful, calm, radiant. Her name is Shakuntala. Dushyanta is struck dumb. He watches her in silence, thinking, even this rough, simple garment can't hide her beauty. She's like a lotus blooming in the mud. No, she's not a forest girl. She's born of heaven. Shakuntala is gentle and focused. She's tending the trees with care, as if they were her friends. Her friends tease her, laughing, saying things like, "You're too delicate to be doing this work. You're as soft as a jasmine blossom." And she smiles, saying, "But I care for these trees like sisters." Then, adjusting her dress, she frowns a little. "Anasuya, this bark dress is too tight. Can you loosen it?" It's such a simple movement, but to Dushyanta, even that seems filled with grace. And then, something almost silly happens. A bee begins buzzing near Shakuntala's face. She flinches and waves it away. "Oh no, this bee won't leave me alone," she says. Her friends laugh again. One of them jokes, "Call for King Dushyanta. He protects the forest, doesn't he?" And just then, the king steps out from behind the tree. "Who dares disturb such beauty?" he says with a smile. The girls are startled, of course, but the king speaks gently and humbly. He doesn't reveal who he is. He says he is just a government officer traveling through. They welcome him politely and invite him to sit and rest. Shakuntala avoids his gaze, suddenly shy. And as they talk, the king asks casually about the girl in the bark garment. Who is she? Her friends explain that she is Shakuntala, the daughter of the great sage Vishwamitra and the heavenly nymph Menaka. Left on earth, she was taken in and raised by sage Kanva as his own. At that, the king is moved even more. So, I was right, he thinks. She is no ordinary girl. She carries the light of the heavens. Then carefully he asks, is she promised to anyone in marriage? They say no. Her father has not chosen anyone yet, but she is of age and her future is open. Dushyanta says little, but his heart is already filled. Then, just as this delicate moment begins to unfold, the king's soldiers and elephants begin to appear in the distance. The peace of the forest is broken by their shouts. The girls grow alarmed. We must go, they say. Shakuntala lingers for a moment, and as they begin to leave, she stops and says, wait, my foot is caught on a thorn. She glances back, just once, just briefly, and then she's gone. The king stands there looking after her, and he murmurs to himself, my body leaves her, but not my mind. Like a banner blown backward in the wind, my heart stays behind. And so ends Act 1. A king enters the forest chasing a deer and finds a girl who will haunt his dreams. This is not yet love, but it is the moment from which love will grow. The girl has walked away, but the story has just begun. We now enter Act 2. The forest lies behind him, but it has not released him. King Dushyanta walks slowly now through a shady grove near the edge of his camp. The hunt is over, but he wears no triumph. The bow is still in his hand, but the fire of pursuit is gone. What chases him now is a memory. Trailing behind, covered in sweat and sarcasm, comes Madhavya, the court jester. He stumbles on rude swats at flies and loudly regrets every choice that led him there. Madhavya, groaning, says, "Oh misery, this is no hunt. This is martyrdom. The water tastes like bark tea, the meat is colder than a nun's blessing, and our great king has turned into a love-sick ascetic." He wipes his brow with exaggerated flair and spots the king draped in a simple garland of forest flowers, but miles away in thought. There he is, walking like he's fasting. "Are you practicing to be a sage now, your majesty? Or did some bark-clothed beauty steal your royal senses?" Dushyanta doesn't answer immediately. He looks down at the ground and then up toward the trees. It's quiet, and for a moment even the jester falls silent. Then softly, Dushyanta says, "I saw her, Madhavya, and now I can't unsee her." Madhavya stops short, more surprised than mocking now. "Aha, so it's true. The mighty king has been defeated, not by a tiger or rebel army, but by a girl in bark robes." He leans in, eyes gleaming. "Tell me, what was it? Her smile, her silence, or just the mystery of a woman who doesn't try to win your attention?" The king's voice deepens, softer now, reflective. "She wasn't dressed to impress. Her robe was made of bark, her hair was unadorned, but in that simplicity there was something divine. She moved with grace, she spoke like water flowing over stone, and when she turned away from me, it felt like sun had gone behind a cloud." He's not speaking to Madhavya anymore. He's remembering her, her presence, her voice, the way she bent gently to tend to a plant, not knowing or not caring that a king stood nearby stunned. She is no court lady. She is not painted with perfumes and pearls. She is untouched, like a flame kept hidden behind a veil. But I am a king, a man of cities, of noise, of war. What do I bring into her quiet world? What right do I have to reach toward her? Madhavya, ever the balm to drama, rolls his eyes. Oh, please, kings have fallen for queens, dancers, milkmaids, talking parrots. At least she is human and breathing. But Dushyanta isn't smiling anymore. This isn't desire. This isn't fancy. This feels old. As though I had loved her before I even knew her name, he says. And in that moment, silence wraps around them. Even Madhavya has nothing to say, because what he hears now is not a king's whim, but a man's truth. But then duty arrives. A messenger approaches. Raivataka, the doorkeeper of the royal camp. He bows low. Your Majesty, the chariot is ready. And a messenger has come from your mother, the queen. The king lifts his head. My mother? Yes, sire. He says her message cannot wait. Enter Karbaka, the queen's servant, dressed for court, breathing heavily from his journey. He kneels and speaks with the formality of someone used to protocol. Victory to your Majesty. The Queen Mother sends her command. In 4 days she ends her sacred fast. On that day she must have her son, her blessing by her side. Dushyanta is still. No battle horn could strike harder. He looks out over the trees, then down at his hands. My mother, my dharma. But the hermits too, they ask my protection. And more than them, she is here. The girl who, without asking, has become everything. He recites the words low, half to himself. Two inconsistent duties sever my mind with cruel shock, as when the current of a river is split upon a rock. Madhavya tries again to lighten the mood. Just be like Trishanku, O king. Float between earth and heaven, don't choose either. But Dushyanta suddenly smiles and finds his answer. You'll go in my place. Madhavya blinks. Me? A jester standing in for a king? Dushyanta says, my mother adores you. You'll explain that I stayed back to guard the hermitage. She'll forgive me. Madhavya begins grumbling. If I must, then I demand chariots, garlands, elephants, and a royal fan. Done. Take my full escort, says Dushyanta. And so, with the comic muttering and half-sincere bows, Madhavya departs. But before he does, the king stops him. He leans in. His voice is quiet now, not royal, not commanding, just human. Say nothing of her. Madhavya nods. As you wish, your Majesty. But even if I am silent, your eyes are not. And so, Act 2 closes with no grand declarations, no palace intrigue, just a man standing between duty and longing. A son, a lover, a king, and a man walking back toward the forest, not for deer, not for the sages, but for her. We now move on to Act 3 of Kālidāsa's Abhijñānaśākuntalam, the tender, faithful heart of the tale. A moment suspended in time where longing and love unfold under the forest canopy. The midday sun filters through the leafy canopy of the forest. The sacred grove is still, save for the soft rustling of trees and the distant sound of river water trickling over stones. Somewhere near the altar, a young pupil moves carefully, holding sacred grass in his hands. His eyes are full of wonder. How great is the power of King Dushyanta, he murmurs to himself. Since the king arrived, no obstacle, no dark spirit, no wandering creature has dared disturb the holy rituals. He does not even need to draw his bow. The boy muses. The twang of its string is enough to drive away evil. He walks a few steps and sees Priyamvada carrying some cuscus, salve, and lotus leaves. For whom? He asks. Priyamvada replies, for Shakuntala, she is suffering in the heat, or so we say. The boy's face softens. Take good care of her, he says. She is the very soul of the hermitage. And then he leaves to bring holy water to Gautami. Not far away, the king himself walks slowly, his heart caught in a storm of longing. I know that the sacred law protects her, he says loud. But my heart flows to her like a river down the slope, and oh, what cruel fire burns within flowers. He speaks of Kama, the god of love, and wonders how a deity whose arrows are made of blossoms can cause such torment. Even the moon, cool and comforting to others, seems to send burning rays into his chest. Thy shafts are blossoms, coolness streams from moon rays, thus the poets sing. But to the love-lone falsehood seems to lurk in such imagining. The moon darts fire from frosty beams, thy flowery arrows cut and sting. He sighs, she is my only rest. He walks toward the vine-covered banks of the Malini river, the place where Shakuntala often rests with her friends in the heat of the day. He notices signs of her recent presence. Broken stems still weeping sap, soft footprints pressed into the white sand. The stems from which she gathered flowers are still unhealed. The sap where twigs were broken off is uncongealed. In white sand at the door fresh footprints appear, the toe lightly outlined, the heel deep and clear. He hides among the trees and then he sees her. She lies on a stone bench strewn with flowers, feverish and faint. Her friends Anasuya and Priyamvada gently fan her with lotus leaves. "Are you cooler now, dear?" one of them asks. "Are you fanning me?" Shakuntala whispers faintly. She seems unaware of her surroundings. The king watches, deeply moved. Is it the heat? He wonders. Or is it as I hope? Priyamvada turns to Anasuya. Ever since she saw the king, she has been like this. It must be love. Anasuya agrees. We must ask her. She bends close. Shakuntala, something weighs on your chest. Share it with us. Shakuntala sighs. Her voice is hesitant. Since I saw the noble king, my heart burns. I cannot sleep, I cannot pray, I love him. The king hears, his heart leaps. In silence he listens, longing. Why do you hide this from us? Her friends ask. You are withering away. Shakuntala hesitates, then speaks with great emotion. If he remembers me, he will come. If he has forgotten, then I shall endure. But her friends have a plan. Priyamvada says, write him a letter, a poem, put your heart into words. With trembling hands, Shakuntala plucks a lotus leaf and begins to scratch lines upon it with her nails. I know not if I read your heart aright. Why, pitiless, do you distress me so? I only know that longing day and night tosses my restless body to and fro, that yearns for you the soul of all its woe. At this moment, the king steps from the trees. My darling, he exclaims. Shakuntala, startled, tries to rise, but she is weak. The king hurries to her side, gently restrains her. Do not rise, your limbs are weak. The fever has touched you. Let me stay and serve you. He sits beside her. Her friends smile. A remedy has arrived after all. They gently tease her and urge the king to make his love known. The king replies with poetry, reverence, and passion. He takes her hand, not forcefully, but with deep emotion. Her lotus chains that were as white as moonbeams shining in the night betray the fever's awful pain and fading show a darker stain. I will not be false to her, he says. Though kings have many queens, this girl is like no other. She shall be first. They speak of duty, of doubt, of longing. Shakuntala is torn between desire and modesty. She warns him, There are hermits about. Be still. But he assures her, your father, Sage Kanva, is wise. He will understand. Just then, a lotus bracelet slips from her wrist and falls to the ground. The king picks it up reverently. Once it adorned your arm, now it adorns my heart. Shakuntala rises, pretending to leave, but moments later returns, making an excuse. I came back for my bracelet, she says, the lotus one. I'll give it back, the king replies, only if I can place it on your arm myself. She agrees. He draws close. As he fastens the bracelet, he gazes at her face. A speck of pollen drifts into her eye. It's the lotus pollen, she says, blinking. The king smiles. May I blow it away? She hesitates, then nods. He leans in, blows gently. She closes her eyes. There's quiet, breathless, sweet. He recites, it ought to be enough for me to hover round your fragrant face. Is not the lotus haunting bee content with perfume and with grace? She opens her eyes. But what if the bee is not content? He answers with action, drawing her face close. But then, a voice calls from off stage. O Sheldrake bride, bid your maid farewell, the night is come. Shakuntala starts in alarm. It is Mother Gautami, she whispers. Hide! The king slips behind the trees. Gautami enters with the bowl. Is the fever better, child? It is lighter now, Shakuntala says softly. Then let us return to the cottage. Shakuntala looks around the bower. Oh, place that ease my pain, she whispers. Farewell for now. They leave. The king steps out, eyes lingering on the lotus leaf poem, the fallen bracelet, the empty flower bed. Why did I hesitate, he laments. Why did I let her go? A voice calls from afar. O king, the flames rise high, the demons gather round the altar. He steadies himself. I am coming. And he goes, not knowing that the moment just shared will be tested by the silence to come. So ends Act 3, where love is confessed, where vows are whispered in the shelter of green, where a bracelet, a poem, and a glance promise eternity. But fate has other plans. The fire is lit and smoke is on the wind. We now move on to Act 4, the turning of the tide, where silence grows heavy, where love meets its test. Time has passed since King departed the hermitage. The forest still thrived, green and peaceful, but a quiet ache had settled in Shakuntala's heart. Each day she waited, each breeze stirred a hope, but no word came from Hastinapura. Her friends Anasuya and Priyamvada noticed her sadness, how her eyes searched every path, how her fingers paused mid-task. One morning as they were gathering flowers for the sacrificial rites, Anasuya voiced her worry. Shakuntala is now a wife married by sacred love, joined in heart and vow. But I fear, will the king remember her, or will the palace steal his mind? Priyamvada tried to assure her. He is noble. He placed his ring on her hand. That kind of love, it doesn't fade. Still, unease hung over the grove. And then, the moment, a single voice shattered the silence. Who will bid me welcome? It was a guest, but not just any guest. It was the sage Durvasa, infamous for his temper, sharp as lightning. He had come to the ashram expecting the rites of hospitality, but Shakuntala, lost in thoughts of Dushyanta, failed to notice him. Her eyes were distant, her heart elsewhere. The insult stung. Durvasa's voice thundered through the trees. Because your heart by loving fancies blinded has scorned a guest in pious life grown old, your lover shall forget you though reminded, or think of you as if a story told. The curse had been spoken. Anasuya ran to him, falling at his feet, begging for forgiveness. Holy One, she pleaded, she did not see you. Her mind was clouded by longing, not arrogance. Durvasa's anger could not bend entirely. The curse must stand, he said. But if the lover sees a token, something once given, memory shall return. And just like that, he vanished. Back in the grove, Priyamvada's hands trembled. She had dropped her basket of flowers when she heard the curse. The blossoms once meant for the gods now lay scattered like omens. But there was hope. The king had given Shakuntala a ring engraved with his name. That ring now was not just a token of love, it was her salvation. Still, days passed and silence grew heavier. Then came dawn. The sky turned rose and gold. Deer stirred. Peacocks opened their tails to the night. And sage Kanva returned from pilgrimage. He stepped into the fire sanctuary, and at that moment a divine voice rang out. Know, Brahman, that your child, like the fire-pregnant tree, bears kingly seed that shall be born for earth's prosperity. Kanva understood. The marriage had happened in his absence, fated, holy, and real. And now his child, his foster daughter, must go. She must be sent to her husband's home, carrying not only her hope, but a child in her womb. So the hermitage awoke, preparations began. Anasuya brought sacred pollen, yellow pigment, panic grass. Priyamvada wrapped the gifts in lotus leaves. Harita, young hermit, arrived with wonders. The trees themselves have blessed her, he said. One bore a bridal robe, whither than moonlight. Another bled red dye for her feet, and unseen hands dropped gems into her arms. Even the forest was grieving. Shakuntala emerged, bathed in dawn's light, her body adorned, but her eyes wet with tears. Her voice trembled as she said farewell to the hermit women. Will you ever braid my hair again? She asked her friends. Then came Kanva. He had no wife, no other child, and now he was giving his only daughter to the world. He could barely speak. Shakuntala must go today. I miss her now at heart. I dare not speak a loving word, or choking tears will start. My eyes are dim with anxious thought. Love strikes me to the life. And yet I strove for pious peace. I have no child, no wife. He led her to the sacrificial fires. She walked around them in reverence. The flames crackled softly, their smoke rising like whispered blessings. Be like Sharmishta, he said, wise and worthy. May you bear a son like Puru, a light to this earth. At last the time came. Shangarava and Sharadvata, two disciples, would escort her to Hastinapur. As Shakuntala turned to leave, something tugged at her dress. She looked down. It was the little fawn, the one she had raised since its mother died. Its tiny eyes, wide and full of longing, begged her not to go. Oh, little one, she whispered, kneeling. I fed you from my hand. Now you must stay behind. Father will care for you. She stood again and faltered. Her eyes sought the vine she had called a sister. She embraced it like a living friend. You held me better than silk, she said. Kanva's voice was quiet. I shall give the vine to this mango tree, he said. Let it find another companion. Shakuntala turned to her two friends. Take care of her and of yourselves. They clung to her. And then the final moment. Priyamvada, through tears, reminded her, if the king forgets, show him the ring. Shakuntala touched her hand to the token. May it remind him of me. Kanva offered his last blessing. One day, when your child is born, when your royal work is done, return here with your family to end your days in peace. And so she left. The birds quieted, the trees wept dew. Even the forest vines seemed to lean toward her path. A hermit girl, a queen in white, walking into a world of memory and curse. Behind her, only Kanva remained standing silent beneath the fig tree, watching until she vanished into the trees. And then softly to himself, a girl is held in trust, another's treasure. To arms of love my child today is given. Though Grief burns deep, I feel a sacred pleasure. I have returned the pledge once sent from heaven. This was the end of Act 4. Not an ending, really, just the parting of paths, and a ring gleaming on a finger, carrying all the weight of memory. We now move on to Act 5, Shakuntala's rejection. So, what happened when the hermits arrived at the royal court? Let's step into the palace where King Dushyanta held sway. The old chamberlain, his reed staff now more a crutch than a symbol of office, moved through the palace halls. He'd seen countless days begin like this, filled with the demands of the crown. Today, a delegation of hermits from the very forest where the king had found love awaited an audience. He knew his mind flickered like a dying lamp, sharp one moment, hazy the next, but this news, this unusual visit was clear enough. He found the king already deep in the cares of state. Dushyanta, the protector of the world, never truly rested. The burden of rule, he mused, only grew heavier with power, like a constant ache from holding a sunshade against an unforgiving sun. As he settled, two court poets sang his praises, their voice ringing with flattery. The world you daily guard and bless, not heeding pain or weariness. Thus is your nature made, a tree will brave the noonday, when the sun is fierce that weary men may rest beneath its shade. And the second poet added, wise bows before the royal rod, strife ceases at your kingly nod. You're our strong defender, friends come to all whose wealth is sure. But you, alike to rich and poor, are friend both strong and tender. Dushyanta found his spirit renewed by their words. A clownish voice belonging to his friend Madhavya joked, does a bull forget he's tired when you call him the leader of the herd? They settled into their seats, then a lute began to play from the music room. Lady Hansavati, the queen, was practicing. The king hushed them all, eager to listen. A song, poignant and accusatory, floats into the chamber. From behind the scenes, a clear female voice sang, you who kissed the mango flower, honey-loving bee, gave her all your passion's power, ah, so tenderly. How can you be tempted so by the lily pet? Fresher honey sweet, I know, but can you forget? The king found the song entrancing. Madhavya entered the direct one, asked if he understood the words. Dushyanta smiled, recognizing the rebuke from Queen Hansavati. He sent Madhavya to soothe her like a gentleman. Left alone, a strange wistfulness settled over the king. He felt no separation from love, not consciously, yet the melody stirred something deep, a longing for something unseen, a memory just beyond reach. It was as if his very nature, his soul, held echoes of loves earlier than birth. It was then the chamberlain returned, announcing the arrival of hermits accompanied by women from holy Kanva. Dushyanta, astonished, ordered his chaplain to receive them with the utmost reverence. He prepared to meet them in the fire sanctuary, place of purity. As he went, a flicker of unease danced in his mind. Why would Kanva send them? Had some evil befallen the hermitage under his watch? Do leagued powers of sin conspire to balk region's pure desire? Has wrong been done to bees that roam contended round the hermit's home? Do plants no longer bud and flower to warn me of abuse of power? These doubts and more assail my mind, but leave me puzzled, lost and blind. His loyal portress assured him no such ill could touch the grove under his famed protection. Surely they came to honor him. And then they arrived. The chaplain led them in, two ascetic pupils, Shangarava and Sharadvata, their faces etched with detachment of the forest. Shangarava, entering the city, felt a prick of disdain for the worldly crowd. The king is noble and to virtue true, none dwelling here commit the deed of shame, yet we ascetics view the worldly crew as in a house all lapped about with flame. Sharadvata, more detached, viewed the city dwellers as free from the world and all its ways. I see them spending worldly days, as clean men view men smeared with oil, as pure men those whom passion soil. as waking men view men asleep, as free men those in bondage deep. With them came Gautami, the elderly matron of the hermitage, her presence grounding. And then she appeared, Shakuntala. Veiled, her beauty was muted, yet the king's gaze found her, singling her out from the others like a precious bloom among the withered leaves. He saw her and observed, "Who is she shrouded in the veil that dims her beauty's luster, among the hermits like a flower round which the dead leaves cluster?" He dismissed the thought. Enough, he told himself, I must not gaze upon another's wife. But Shakuntala beneath her veil felt a heart hammer. Oh, my heart, why tremble so, she thought, trying to conjure the memory of his steadfast love, urging herself to be brave. The chief hermit Shangarava began. He spoke of Kanva's blessing of the pure love between the king and his foster daughter. He delivered the sage's message, direct and profound. He says, "Since you have met this, my daughter, and have married her, I give you my glad consent, for you are the best of worthy men, they say. And she, I know, good works personified, the Creator wrought forever and a day. In wedding such a virtuous groom and bride, she is with child. Take her and live with her in virtue." Gautami added her piece, reminding them of their plighted faith. Did she with father speak or mother? Did you engage her friends in speech? Your faith was plighted each to other. Let each be faithful now to each. Shakuntala's heart swelled with fragile hope. What will my husband say? She whispered to herself. But the king's response was not what she expected. His face, once open, now hardened with suspicion. "What is this insinuation?" he demanded. Shakuntala's world reeled. Uh-oh, so haughty and so slanderous. Shangarava, angered by the king's denial, fiercely stated the world's custom. Because the world suspects a wife who does not share her husband's lot, her kinsmen wished her to abide with him, although he love her not. Then came the words that would shatter everything. "You cannot mean that this young woman is my wife." The air froze. Shakuntala's hope, once a climbing vine, snapped. "Oh, my heart, you feared it, and now it has come." Shangarava, furious, accused the king of treachery, a ruler drunk with power. "Oh, drunk with power, we might have known that you were steeped in treachery." Gautami gently removed Shakuntala's veil, hoping recognition would dawn. But it didn't. Dushyanta looked at her. Her beauty was undeniable, a tortured loveliness. Yet his memory remained a blank. He saw her like a bee hovering over a jasmine flower at dawn, still covered in frosty dews. He spoke his cold truth. "Hermit, I have taken thought. I cannot believe that this woman is my wife. She is plainly with child. How can I take her, confessing myself an adulterer?" Shakuntala was crushed. Her hope, a vine that had climbed high, shattered. Shangarava lashed out, accusing the king of scorning the sage who had offered what the king had stolen. Sharadvata stopped his friend. "Shakuntala, we have delivered our message. You hear his words. Answer him." Shakuntala's mind raced. He loved her so, yet he was so changed. Why remind him? But she had to clear her name, so she began. "My dear husband." She stopped. He doubted her right to call him that. "Your Majesty," she corrected, her voice pleading. "It was pure love that opened my poor heart to you in hermitage. Then you were kind to me and gave me your promise. Is it right for you to speak so now and to reject me?" The king put his hands to his ears. "Peace, peace! A stream that eats away the bank grows foul and undermines a tree. So you would stain your honor while you plunge me into misery?" Desperate, Shakuntala offered the token, the ring he had given her, the proof of their love. "I will remove your doubts with the token you gave me." "An excellent idea," he said. But when she reached for her finger, it was empty. "Uh-oh, the ring is lost!" Her voice was a heartbreaking cry. Gautami suggested it might have fallen in the holy Ganges. The king dismissed it as ready wit. Shakuntala, fate too strong for her, tried to recount another memory, the fawn, their adopted son, drinking water from her hand after refusing his. The king, however, twisted her words, accusing her of being a selfish, sweet, false woman who enticed fools. She erupted in anger, her forest-bred passion raw and untainted by courtly artifice. "Wretch! You judge all this by your own false heart?" She saw him as a yawning well hidden beneath a deceitful carpet of grass. The king, observing her, noted that her anger was devoid of coquetry, natural to one from the forest. He described her. Her glance is straight, her eyes are flashing red, her speech is harsh, not drawlingly well-bred. Her whole lip quivers, seems to shake with cold, her frown, her straightened eyebrows arching bold. He still chose to believe her anger was feigned, for in his clouded memory he concluded, "When I refused but now, hard-heartedly to know of love or secret vow, her eyes grew red, and so, bending her arching brow, she fiercely snapped love's bow." He declared that Dushyanta's conduct was known to the whole kingdom, but not this action. Shakuntala wept, covering her face. "Well, well, I had my way. I trusted a king and put myself in his hands. He had a honey face and a heart of stone." Shankarava observed the burning pain of unbridled levity. Be slow to love, but yet more slow with secret mate. With those whose hearts we do not know, love turns to hate. "Why do you trust this girl?" the king demanded, "and accuse me of an imaginary crime?" Shankarava's disdain was clear. "You have learned your wisdom upside down. It would be monstrous to believe a girl who never lies, trust those who study to deceive, and think it very wise." "Aha, my candid friend," the king challenged. "Suppose I were to admit that I am such a man, what would happen if I deceived the girl?" "Ruin," Shankarava stated. "It is unthinkable that ruin should fall on Puru's line." "Why bandy words?" Shankarava concluded. "We have fulfilled our father's bidding. We are ready to return. Leave her or take her as you will. She is your wife. Husbands have power for good or ill over woman's life." Gautami led the way, turning to leave. "He has deceived me shamelessly," Shakuntala cried, her voice broken. "And will you leave me too?" She tried to follow. Gautami, her heart aching, looked back. "My son, Shakuntala is following us, lamenting piteously. What can the poor child do with a husband base enough to reject her?" Shankarava turned, his anger now directed at Shakuntala for a desperation. "You self-willed girl! Do you dare show independence?" Shakuntala recoiled in fear. He told her, "If you deserve such scorn and blame, what will your father with your shame? And if you know your vows are pure, obey your husband and endure. Remain, we must go." The king, in a strange echo of his earlier words, spoke of honoring virtue, of shunning another's wife. Night blossoms open to the moon, day blossoms to the sun. A man of honor ever strives another's wife to shun. "O king," Shankarava pressed, "suppose you had forgotten your former actions in the midst of distraction. Should you now desert your wife, you who fear to fail in virtue? I ask you, which is the heavier sin?" The king countered, "Not knowing whether I be mad or falsehood be in her. Shall I desert a faithful wife or turn adulterer?" The chaplain, perhaps seeing a way out, offered a compromise. Let Shakuntala stay in his house until the child was born. If the son bore the imperial marks of an emperor, then she would be welcomed into the palace, otherwise she must return to her father. The king agreed. As the chaplain led her away, Shakuntala's final cry echoed through the chamber, a raw plea to the earth itself. "O Mother Earth, give me a grave." Weeping, she exited, her world shattered. The king remained, his memory a stubborn blank, yet a profound sense of bewilderment, of something being deeply wrong, settled over him. Then from behind the scenes, hushed, astonished voices whispered, "A miracle! A miracle!" The king, roused from his troubled thoughts, listened. The chaplain rushed back, his face alight with wonder. "Your Majesty, a wonderful thing has happened." "What?" the king demanded. When Kanva's pupils had departed, the chaplain recounted. She tossed her arms, bemoaned her plight, accusing her crushing fate. "What then?" Before our eyes, the chaplain finished, his voice hushed with awe. A heavenly light, in woman's form but shining bright, seized her and vanished straight. Astonishment hung heavy in the air. But the king, his mind still strangely veiled by the curse, simply dismissed it. My teacher, we have already settled the matter. Why speculate in vain? Let us seek repose. He sought his own chambers, a deep confusion clouding his heart. As he walked alone with his thoughts, the king couldn't shake a strange, unbidden feeling. With a hermit wife I had no part, all memories evade me, and yet my sad and stricken heart could more than half persuade me. And so the curtain falls on Act 5. A king cursed to forget, a queen swallowed by a heavenly light, and the profound unsettling silence of love denied, yet still subtly present in a heart that did not understand why it felt so bereft. We now move on to Act 6, Separation from Shakuntala. So the king had rejected Shakuntala, his memory clouded by the sage's curse. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and then a spark, a tiny flicker of memory ignites in the most unexpected way. Our scene opens not in the grand palace but on the busy street outside. You can almost hear the clamor of the city, the shouts of vendors, the hurried footsteps. And then, cutting through it all, the harsh voices of authority. The chief of police, grim-faced, stood with two of his men. Between them, a man, his hands bound, clearly terrified. "Now, pickpocket, tell us where you found this ring. It is the king's ring with letters engraved on it. It has a magnificent great gem," said the first policeman. The fisherman, his voice trembling and desperate, "Be merciful, kind gentleman. I am not guilty of such a crime." "No? I suppose the king thought you were a pious Brahmin and made you a present of it." "Listen, please, I am a fisherman and I live on the Ganges at the spot where Indra came down." "You thief, we didn't ask you for your address or your social position," said the second policeman. The chief, "Let him tell a straight story, Suchaka. Don't interrupt." They gave the man permission to speak. The fisherman, trying to regain his composure, explained, "I support my family with things you catch fish with, nets, then the hooks and things." The chief laughed a dry, dismissive sound. "You have a sweet trade." "Don't say that, master," the fisherman pleaded. He offered a common truth. "You can't give up a low-down trade that your ancestors began. A butcher butchers things, and yet he is a tenderest-hearted man." Go on," the chief urged. "Well," the fisherman continued, "one day I was cutting up a carp. In its maw I see this ring with a magnificent great gem. And then I was just trying to sell it here when you kind gentlemen grabbed me. That's the only way I got it. Now kill me or find fault with me." The chief took the ring, sniffing it. "There is no doubt about it, Januka," he declared. "It has been in a fish's maw. It has the real perfume of raw meat. Now we have to find out how he got it. We must go to the palace." The policeman dragged the fisherman along. The chief left them at the palace gate, warning them not to get careless. Suchaka, "Januka, the chief is taking his time." Januka says, "You can't just drop in on a king." Januka, "My fingers are itching to kill this cutpurse." Fisherman, "Don't kill a man without any reason, master." But then, aside, Januka spotted the chief returning holding a written order. "There is the chief with a written order from the king," he announced to the fisherman. "Now you will see your family or else you will feed the crows and jackals." The chief approached quickly, almost breathless. "Quick, quick!" Then he stopped, taking a closer look at the bound man. Oh, I am a dead man," the fisherman said. But the chief surprised them all. "Release him, you. Release the fishnet fellow. It's all right. He's getting the ring. Our king told me so himself." Suchaka was astonished. "All right, chief, he is a dead man come back to life." The fisherman, dizzy with relief, bowed low, falling at the chief's feet. "Master, I owe you my life. Get up, the chief commanded, then reveal the king's generosity. Here is a reward that the king was kind enough to give you. It is worth as much as the ring. Take it. He handed the fisherman a bracelet. The fisherman, joyful, took it, profusely obliged. Januka, however, looked enviously at him, remarking, "He is much obliged to the king, just as if he had been taken from the stake and put on an elephant's back." Suchaka was curious. "Chief, the reward shows that the king thought a lot of the ring. The gem must be worth something." Chief said, "No, it wasn't the fine gem that pleased the king. It was this way." The policeman pressed him. "Well, I think when the king saw it, he remembered somebody he loves. You know how dignified he usually is, but as soon as he saw it, he broke down for a moment." Suchaka acknowledged his good turn. Januka, still eyeing the fisherman's new wealth, muttered, "All for the sake of this fish killer, it seems to me." But the fisherman, in his sudden fortune, was generous. "Take half of it, masters, to pay for something to drink." Januka, his tone instantly changed, delighted. "Fisherman, you are the biggest and best friend I've got. The first thing we want is all the brandy we can hold. Let's go where they keep it." And with that, they departed, likely for a lively celebration. Now let's turn our gaze into the palace gardens. Above, unseen, flew Mishrakeshi, a nymph, a friend to Menaka, and thus a kindred spirit to Shakuntala. She had come at Menaka's request to see how the king fared. She descended, invisible, near the garden maids. It was the day of the spring festival, yet the court showed no signs of celebration. She decided to observe quietly. Two maids tended the garden. The first, gazing at a mango branch, hummed softly. "First mango twig, so pink, so green, first living breath of spring, you are sacrificed as soon as seen. A festival offering." The second maid curiously asked, "What are you chirping about to yourself, little cuckoo?" "Why, little bee," the first replied, "you know that the cuckoo goes crazy with delight when she sees the mango blossom." "Oh, has the spring really come?" the second maid joyfully asked. "Yes, little bee, and this is the time when you too buzz about in crazy joy." The second maid, wanting to offer the blossom to love, asked her friend to steady her. "If I do," the first said playfully, "you must give me half the reward of the offering." The other agreed. "That goes without saying, dear, we two are one." Leaning on her friend, she plucked a fragrant, unbroken mango blossom. Bringing her hands together, she worshipped mighty love. "O mango twig, I give to love as arrow for his bow. Most sovereign of his arrows, 5 strike maiden targets low." She threw the twig, but then a voice, sharp and angry, cut through the air. It was the chamberlain. "Stop, silly girl. The king has strictly forbidden the spring festival. Do you dare pluck the mango blossoms?" The maids, frightened, begged for forgiveness. They hadn't known. "What?" the chamberlain exclaimed. "You have not heard the king's command, which is obeyed even by the trees of spring and the creatures that dwell in them? See," he pointed to the unyielding spring, "the mango branches are in bloom, yet pollen does not form. The cuckoo's song sticks in his throat. Although the days are warm, the amaranth bud is formed, and yet its power of growth is gone. The love god timidly puts by the arrow he has drawn." Mishrakeshi, unseen, noted the king's powerful sorrow, a force so strong it had stifled even spring itself. The maids explained they had just been assigned to the garden and hadn't heard the news. They pressed the chamberlain for the reason for such a strange decree. Mishrakeshi herself wondered. Kings are fond of celebrations. There must be some good reason. The chamberlain, deciding it was no secret, revealed the truth. "Have you heard the gossip concerning Shakuntala's rejection?" The maids had heard it up to the point where the ring was discovered. "There is little more to tell," the chamberlain continued. "When His Majesty saw the ring, he remembered that he had indeed contracted a secret marriage with Shakuntala and had rejected her under a delusion. And then he fell a prey to remorse. He described the king's torment. He hates the things he loved. He intermits the daily audience, nor in judgment sits. Spends sleepless nights in tossing on his bed. At times, when he, by courtesy, is led to address a lady, speaks another name, then stands for minutes, sunk in helpless shame. Mishra Keshi felt a surge of hope. This was good news indeed. The chamberlain confirmed that the king's sorrow had indeed forbidden the festival. The maids agreed it was only right. A voice from behind the scenes announced the king's approach. The maids hurried away as King Dushyanta entered, his attire showing his deep remorse. With him was the clown and the portress. The chamberlain observed the king. Even in sorrow, his magnificent figure charmed. All ornament is laid aside. He wears one golden bracelet on his wasted arm. His lip is scorched by sighs, and sleepless cares redden his eyes. Yet all can work no harm on that magnificent beauty, wasting but gaining in brilliance like a diamond cut. Mishra Keshi, still invisible, felt a pang of understanding. No wonder Shakuntala still pined for him. The king walked slowly, utterly lost in thought. He spoke aloud, his voice filled with a deep personal agony. Alas, my smitten heart that once lay sleeping, heard in its dreams my fond-eyed love's laments, and wakened now awakens but to weeping, to bitter grief and tears of penitence. Mishra Keshi saw the poor girl's fate reflected in his sorrow. The clown, ever pragmatic, muttered to himself that the king had his Shakuntala sickness again. The king dismissed his retinue, sending the minister a memorandum and the chamberlain back to his post. The clown, hoping to cheer him, suggested they enjoy the garden now that the cold weather was passing. But the king only sighed. My friend, the proverb makes no mistake. Misfortune finds the weak spot. See, he lamented, his awakened memory now coupled with the arrival of spring. No sooner did the darkness lift that clouded memory's power than the god of love prepared his bow and shot the mango flower. No sooner did the ring recall my banished maiden dear, no sooner do I vainly weep for her than spring is here. The clown, trying to be helpful, raised his stick as if to destroy love's arrow. The king smiled faintly. Enough, I see your pious power. He sought a place to sit to comfort his eyes with the vines that reminded him of her. The clown suggested that the bower of spring creepers where the king had asked a clever painter maid to bring the picture of Shakuntala he had sketched. This picture, the king admitted, was his only consolation. They went to the bower, Mishra Keshi secretly following. The king and clown sat. Mishra Keshi hid, eager to see the painting and learn the depth of his love. The king sighed again. I remember it all now, my friend. I told you how I first met Shakuntala. It is true. You were not with me when I rejected her, but I had told you of her at the first. Had you forgotten as I did? Mishra Keshi thought. This shows that the king should not be separated a single moment from some intimate friend. The clown confessed he hadn't forgotten, but the king had dismissed the story as a joke. No, this is the work of fate, he concluded. Mishra Keshi silently agreed. The king meditated a moment, then forlorn cried, Help me, my friend. The clown, trying to offer comfort, reminded him, A good man never lets grief get the upper hand. The mountains are calm even in a tempest. My friend, the king confessed, I am quite forlorn. I keep thinking of her pitiful state when I rejected her. Mishra Keshi noted how his fault distressed him. The clown speculated that a heavenly being must have carried Shakuntala away. The king's heart believed it. And was it phantom, madness, dream, or fatal retribution stern? My hopes fell down a precipice and never will return. The clown tried to give him hope. Don't talk that way. Why, the ring shows that incredible meetings do happen. The king gazed at the ring on his finger, his voice filled with pity for it. Your virtued ring, like mine, is proved to be but small. Her pink-nailed finger sweet you clasped. How could you fall? Mishra Keshi, unseen, wished Shakuntala could hear these tender words. The clown, curious, asked how the king had placed the ring on her finger. The king explained that as he left the pious grove, Shakuntala had wept, asking how long he would remember her. Count every day one letter of my name before you reach the end, dear. Will come to lead you to my palace halls a guide whom I shall send, dear. Then through my madness it fell out cruelly. Mishra Keshi inwardly agreed it was too charming an agreement to be frustrated by fate. The clown, still practical, asked how the ring ended up in a carp's mouth. The king confirmed it fell when she was worshipping the Ganges at Sachitirtha. Mishra Keshi understood now why the virtuous king doubted his marriage. The king only reproached the ring, though the clown humorously threatened his own stick for being crooked. But the king's thoughts returned to the lost ring and the lost love. How could you fail to linger on her soft tapering finger and in the waterfall? And yet, things lifeless know not beauty, but I scorn my duty, the sweetest task of all. Mishra Keshi knew she had found the answer she had prepared to give. Just then, a maid arrived with the tablet bearing Shakuntala's picture. The king gazed at it, mesmerized. A graceful arch of brows above great eyes, lips bathed in darting, smiling light that flies, reflected from white teeth, a mouth as red as karkandu fruit. Love's brightness shed over her face in bursts of liquid charm. The picture speaks with living beauty warm. The clown, too, was struck by its lifelike quality. Mishra Keshi, for her part, thought the king a clever painter, making the girl appear truly present. What in the picture is not fair, the king sighed, is badly done, yet something of her beauty there, I feel, is won. Mishra Keshi understood this as natural, for love now increased by remorse. The king sat, his eyes fixed on the painting of Shakuntala. Grief washed over him. I treated her with scorn, he whispered. Now just the sight of her image breaks my heart. He likened himself to a foolish traveler once scorning a mighty river, now chasing a mirage to quench his thirst. Beside him, the clown peered at the artwork confused. Which one is Shakuntala? He asked. Mr. Keshi, a celestial being invisible to the others, silently noted how blind he had been, not just to the image, but to Shakuntala's beauty and worth. The king pointed out the correct figure. This is her, and if you doubt my love, look at the signs. Faint smudges from my touch, paint swollen where my tears have fallen. Overwhelmed by memory, the king took up his brush to complete the background of the painting. He described the setting he envisioned: Malini stream, peaceful Himalayan foothills, swans resting, and a doe rubbing against a buck under sacred trees. The clown grumbled to himself, imagining a painting cluttered with bearded hermits instead of beauty. The king then remembered something he'd missed. An ornament Shakuntala had worn, a delicate cerise blossom near her ear, its stamens touching her cheeks, a soft lotus garland across her chest. Just then the clown pointed out something odd in the painting. Shakuntala appeared afraid, shielding her face with her fingers. A bee hovered near her. "Drive him away," the king said quickly. "It's your job to punish wrongdoers," the clown joked. The king, lost in his delusion, began to address the bee as if it were real. Mishra Keshi watched in amazement at how deeply the king's imagination had blurred into reality. The clown, trying to shake him from his dream, finally blurted, "It's only a painting." The king paused. "A picture?" he repeated slowly. The truth sank in. The image, his hope, his comfort, none of it was real. His delusion scattered. A wave of sorrow followed. "You've ruined my illusion," he told the clown bitterly. "When my heart had found warmth, you dragged me back to cold memory." He turned away, a single tear falling. Mishra Keshi saw in it the seed of repentance. The king then cried out, "How can I bear a sorrow with no relief? I cannot even see her in dreams or look at her image without weeping." At that moment, Chadurika, a maid, returned with bad news. The queen had intercepted the brushes meant for the painting. The clown panicked and ran off to hide the artwork, suggesting the cloud balcony so high only a bird could find it. Despite his despair, the king remained courteous toward the queen. Yet the burden of a childless future pressed on him. Another attendant entered with a government document. A merchant, Dhanarudhi, had died at sea without an heir, and his immense wealth now defaulted to the crown. The king's voice grew heavy. "It is dreadful to die childless." He ordered an investigation into whether the merchant might have left behind a pregnant wife. News soon came he had. The king immediately declared that child would inherit everything. He sent out a public message. "Let it be known that the King Dushyanta stands by those who mourn with dignity." The people welcomed the decree, but for the king it only deepened his own sorrow. "When a man dies without an heir," he murmured, "his family's glory ends. When I die, so will the lion of Puru." Mishra Keshi saw that he was trapped in darkness. The maid tried to console him, suggesting another wife might yet bear a son. But he ignored her. "The royal line," he cried out, "ends with me, like a river lost in desert sand." He fainted. The maid rushed to help him, distraught. Mishra Keshi considered revealing herself and the truth about Shakuntala, but she remembered a divine promise. The gods would soon move events toward a reunion. Just then a cry echoed from the palace. "Help! Help!" It was the clown's voice. Genuinely terrified, the maid feared the queen had discovered the painting, but the king, still dazed, told her to scold the queen's staff for overstepping. But the cries grew louder. The king realized something serious was happening. He sent the chamberlain to investigate. The man returned pale and shaking. "Something's terrible," the old man stammered. Your friend on the cloud balcony, something snatched him. We don't know what." The king sprang up. His own palace had been breached. "Even I cannot foresee every wrong," he muttered bitterly. From above, the clown screamed again. "Save me! I am being crushed like sugarcane." The king called for his weapons. A Greek woman brought his bow and arrows. Then a taunting voice rang out. "Try to save your friend, King Dushyanta, but I will drink his blood like a tiger kills a deer." The king, furious, aimed his arrow at the invisible assailant. "You may hide from the eyes, but not from my aim," he warned. "Like swans who drink only milk when it's mixed with water, my arrow will strike only the guilty." He was just about to fire when Matali, the charioteer of guards, appeared holding the terrified clown. Matali raised his voice. O king, Indra commands you. Save your arrows for the wicked and your kindness for your friends." Realizing his mistake, the king quickly lowered his bow. "Welcome, Matali," he said, though the clown grumbled, still shaken. Matali explained that a race of demons had risen, the offspring of Kalanemi, calling themselves invisible. Indra himself could not defeat them. "You are chosen," Matali said. "Your heroism will scatter this darkness." The king accepted the call with humility, but he did ask why Matali had scared the clown so badly. "To awaken you," Matali replied. "You are sinking into despair. Brave men are stirred by insult like fire flares when stirred." Turning to his friend, the king gently said, "I must go now. Tell the minister he must govern in my absence. The kingdom is his to guide, while I fulfill a greater duty." Matali opened the door of his heavenly chariot. The king stepped in. As they soared into the sky, Dushyanta left behind his palace and sorrow. For now, the fate of heaven itself awaited him. And that brings us to the end of Act 6, and we move on to the final act, the Act 7, Heaven's Grace and Earth's Wonder. The scene opens high above the clouds. A divine chariot soars through the skies carrying King Dushyanta and Indra's charioteer, Matali. King Dushyanta gazing thoughtfully. "Matali, even after fulfilling mighty Indra's command, I feel unworthy. His farewell was so full of grace. How can any service compare?" Matali says warmly, "O king, Indra feels just the same. Each sees the other as the one in debt. Your deeds were brave, but his welcome was divine. He seated me beside him on his throne," Dushyanta remembered, "and Jayanta, his son, looked on in awe. Then Indra placed around my neck garlands still fragrant with sandal from his breast. That honor I can never forget." "You have earned it. Twice now demons have been defeated, once by Vishnu and now by your own hand," Matali proudly said. "But what is a servant without the greatness of the master behind him? Like the dawn needs the chariot of the sun, so do I owe all to Indra's grace," Dushyanta replied humbly. And as they descend, Matali points out a strange sight. "O king, look! Your deeds are now legends, even among the gods. With divine colors and wines as canvas, nymphs are painting your story. Heavens sing of your glory." Dushyanta looked about. "Earlier I was too focused on battle to see these wonders. Tell me, Matali, what path are we on?" "This is the sacred wind path of Vishnu's second stride. It carries the Ganges across the heavens and guides the stars with light." "King, eyes shining, that explains this peace I feel. Serenity fills my very soul." The chariot lowers further. "We are descending into the clouds. Look, the birds, the wet wheels, the flashing lightning. This must be the cloud realm." Matali nodded. "Soon you'll be back in your kingdom. Look down." Dushyanta was amazed. Everything below looks unreal. Mountains grow taller, trees shrink, rivers thread like silver chains. It's as if someone is showing me the world anew, clearer, more magical. "That mountain gleaming like sunset gold," said Matali, pointing. "That is the gold peak home of the fairy centaurs. Ascetics there achieve wondrous powers." Dushyanta bowed reverently. "That sacred place deserves my respect. Let me pay homage." "A noble thought, let us descend." Saying this, Matali lowered the chariot towards the earth, but no sound breaks the silence. The king was astonished. Even our wheels whisper. The chariot does not touch the ground and still we move. It's like flying on air. "Such is the power of Indra's chariot," Matali said as they approached a hermitage nestled in the mountainside. "There stands the great sage, Marichi's son. His body is wrapped in wine, sunk in an anthill, sun-staring, serpent-skinned. So still birds nest in his hair," said Matali, pointing. The king was in awe again. All honor to such devotion. "We are now in the presence of Aditi, mother of gods. Please wait under this Ashoka tree. I'll announce you," Matali said as he exited and left the king waiting, feeling a strange stir in his heart. "My arm throbs, a good omen, but dare I hope what I think?" Suddenly a voice scolds someone off stage. "Don't be so naughty, you're always causing trouble." King was curious. Such mischief here in this sacred place? A small boy enters, dragging a lion cub, laughing and unafraid. Two hermit women follow, trying to stop him. "Naughty boy, leave that lion cub alone. Your name, all tamer, fits you well. You try to tame everything." The king was startled. What is this feeling in my heart? Why do I feel as if he's my son? The boy bites his lip, fists the lion's mane. The king steps closer, smiling. "Little son of a great sage, your antiques are out of place in this peaceful grove. Your father would be sad to see this." The hermit woman was surprised. "Oh, no, sir, he is not the son of a hermit." The king was astonished. "Then whose child is he? Surely he is of noble birth." "He belongs to the line of King Puru," she said. Dushyanta was stunned. My own line? Is it possible? He looks closely at the child's hand, a rare birthmark, fingers webbed like the petals of a lily. He whispered, "He bears the mark of royalty. Could it be?" His mother was related to a heavenly nymph. She gave birth in the sacred grove, but no one speaks of his father. He abandoned her. King's heart started pounding. This story is mine, yet can I ask, is it right to seek what may belong to another? At that moment, the second hermit woman returns with a clay peacock. Look, little old tamer, a clay peacock. Isn't the Shakunta lovely? The boy was suddenly worried. Where is my mamma? He looks about. Where is my mamma? She went to gather flowers for your worship, but she will be back in a moment. Would you like to go to her? Asked the first woman. Yes, I want to go to mamma. The king said. He calls her mamma. If only I dared believe what my heart whispers, but no. How can I? Come, dear, I will take you to her, said the hermit woman as she took the boy's hand. The boy drew back. No, I want to go with him, points to the king. Oh, blessed wish, the gods favor my heart's desire, said Dushyanta, happy. Well, then, go with this good man. He seems to be your friend. The king embraced the boy. Surely, surely, he is my son. My very soul goes out to him. Shakuntala enters wearing a garland of wild flowers, her hair loose and disordered as one living in forest hermitage. She looks about. Where is my darling boy? She sees the king with child in his arms, aside, startled. Who is this that takes such liberties with my child? The boy runs to her. Mama, mama. Dushyanta looks at Shakuntala. Ah, is this she, my lost love, my forgotten wife? Shakuntala gently pushed the boy aside and turning away. Come, my child. Shakuntala, cried Dushyant out. She looked at him with sorrow and amazement. My lord? Can you ever forgive the cruel wrong I did you, forgotten through fate's mysterious curse? She, with quiet dignity, said, My lord, the curse may excuse your forgetfulness, but not your coldness. I came to your palace only to be turned away like a beggar. He bowed low. Every moment since memory returned has been filled with sorrow and repentance. Now with the gods as my witness, I ask you to return to me, wife of my soul, mother of my child. The boy looks from one to other, confused. Mama, why are you crying? Because the guards have ended our sorrow, my child, she replied. Matali entered in haste. O King, Marichi, the ancient sage, sends word. The past has fulfilled its course. The bond of fate is broken. Take your queen and your son and return to the capital to rule in righteousness. Come, dear one, let us go home, the king said to Shakuntala with reverence. Shakuntala, through her smiling tears, said, Yes, my lord. The king takes the boy in one arm and Shakuntala's hand in the other. The chariot descends behind them in readiness. The king looks upward. I thank the gods who gave me back the gem I cast in scorn away, whose power the shattered thread could knit and guide the lost into day. They ascend the chariot and trumpet sounds in the air. The curtain falls. End of Act 7 and the play. I hope you had fun listening to the story. This is going to really help you answer your questions for your BEGC 101. Stay tuned for more videos like this. And if you like this video, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to Your Learn Lab to stay tuned for more videos like these. Until then, happy learning.